Time doesn't heal our wounds, it numbs them. Outside time, those wounds still bleed, and all of our demons still wait for us. Welcome to Horror Movie News episode 22. We got the cast and the director of A House of Demons. So let's get to it.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movie.
What's happening? Who are we?
Don't you
Who am
blame
I?
the movies?
Oh.
The movies don't create the cycles.
They don't create the cycles, guys. I'm not sure if you heard. Oh.
Yay! It's a party!
Yes! Welcome, everybody!
Yay!
Welcome to Horror Movie News, as I stated earlier. This is episode 22. My name is Anthony Becerra, and you can find me later. And Carrie.
Hey, it's Carrie Lane here.
Hey guys, I'm Oliver Drennan.
And with us, super special guests. First off, we got Patrick Meaney, director of House of Demons.
Hello.
Go ahead and tell us where we can find you on social media.
At Patrick Meaney, Meaney.
Thank you so much. And next to him, we have Dove Meir, like the mayor of LA.
You can find me at Dove Meir. Instagram, Twitter,
Right on. Keep it simple. I like it.
Yeah.
And also, last but not least, we have Kaytlin Borgen. And go ahead and tell where you can find her.
Kaytlin Borgen.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. And that's the Instagram, Kaytlin Borgen, and at Miss Kaytlin, Miss Kaytlin.
Woo!
Right on.
Woo.
It sounds so much better with that music behind it.
Yeah,
It's very dramatic.
Right on. Thank you all so much for
Yes,
joining us
thank
in
you so
studio
much.
today. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. And we will get to it. But right now, we have to do some quick house cleaning. So, real quick. So where you can find this show and all of us. So, at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network on our channel, as well as our Twitter, our show Twitter at Horror News PTN, and of course our PopcornTalkNetwork.com. That's about to get a new facelift very soon. And also as well as Apple Podcasts. Just type in Horror Movie News and look up for this little icon right behind me, and that's us. So pretty much give us all 5-star reviews, comments, and everything. Subscribe. And those of you who comment and rate, subscribe, and everything, send us proof that you did so. And we'll have a little treat for you, and we'll reveal that later on in the show. All right, house cleaning done. All right, let's get into our first segment, The Abyss. So pretty much, as I stated earlier before the show, it's just films that we've been watching. Of course, all of us, we saw House of Demons.
Yes.
So I think we can all start with that and just do quick overviews, quick thoughts, overall thoughts. That's what I'm trying to get to. There you go.
We are doing this not spoil it free, right? Because I was like, there's some comments, but I think that would spoil it.
Should we leave that to
Oh
Patrick?
no, gosh.
I mean, I think you want to get people intrigued, so if it's a spoiler that sounds like it would make you want to watch the movie,
Oh, okay.
you could say it.
Okay.
I like that it's a horror movie that involves time travel.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, that's new. I
right?
like it.
That was
And a talented cast with also Amber Benson, Buffy alumni, and also you guys are awesome as well. So I enjoyed seeing you guys just collaborate and just have a lot of fun. I can tell you guys had a lot of fun with this film. And I have a quick question. I know a lot of you guys are kind of in the geek community. So why was that important to you to incorporate in that into this film? Like a total geeky cast.
Well, also, yeah, Chloe.
Chloe, Whitney Moore, and Tiffany Smith, and Taliesin Jaffe, Dove himself, Jeff Torres. So, I think part of it was just, when we were doing auditions, people who are into that stuff kind of got what was going on, and it was easier to be like, this is you watching an alternative version of yourself from the past in a fantasy and stuff. Some people were just kind of like, what's going on? And some people got it. So I think that helped. And I think it's just I know a lot of people in that world, and there's a lot of people who are great actors who don't sometimes just host or just, kind of do more, reality type work. But they're great actors, so it was fun to kind of bring them in, and especially people who know each other. I know, Dove, you know a lot of the people beforehand.
Yeah, I worked with Amber Benson on a short sheet, directed a couple years before, so
Oh, cool.
it was great to work with her again in front of the camera.
I would just have to say, I tremendously enjoyed this film. I thought it was a very smart film, very emotionally driven, and also psychologically based. And something that it touches on the human condition and on so many aspects of just being a human and having to deal with problems, like internal struggles of many different lives, which I thought it was brilliantly communicated.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for making such a great film.
Yeah, it definitely explores a lot of different kind of traumas that people can experience.
Yeah,
and
and
relatable ones. Like even if you don't, you know somebody who has, or you've seen that, or you get it.
Exactly. But yeah, I still want to stick to this, just get through this segment real quick. So yeah, just overall thoughts of that. And also, I guess I'll go first. Not necessarily a horror film, but I did see Thoroughbred, so I'll just touch on it briefly because I did really enjoy this film. Directed by Corey Finley, and it was actually a stage play. Well, he's a stage writer, and he wrote this film himself and then also directed it. So it does feel like a play at some points. But the cinematographer the cinematographer is the same one. I can't remember his name, but he's the same one who did A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which I also really enjoyed because it's Ana Lili Amirpour, I believe. And it was quite the delight. I mean, it's very grim. It's not a delightful film, but it's I really enjoyed watching it. Anna Taylor-Joy knocked it out of the park, as well as the other girl who plays Amanda. Definitely worth a watch. I can't stop raving about this film. That's why I want to talk about it just a little bit before I get too carried away. And also after that, earlier this morning, actually, I saw Room 237, which was released in 2012, and it's actually a documentary focusing on Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And it's directed by Rodney Asher, and it's an in-depth analysis of the Kubrick's masterpiece, The Shining. So they break it down. I like how they break it down into sections, and they go into so much depth talking about what the labyrinth was, to like how Kubrick installed so many different like subliminal messages throughout the film that makes it feel so unsettling when you're watching it, because the whole time you feel like there's something wrong. There's a sense of dread that you feel when you're watching it. And there's a sense of uncomfortableness when you are watching it, and I gotta say it was brilliantly like constructed. It doesn't use any like of those like talking confessions like, yeah, we were doing this kind of like, no, there's none of that. It was all just B-roll, and I don't even think they introduced the people who were talking at times. Like they just like they were just voices, and I loved how it starts off like the beginning. It's like each voice has a different take on the film and like what they saw from it, like from what they got from Jack's typewriter and how that was like they related that to the Holocaust, to how they did the can of with an Indian in the freezer, and how it also relates to the genocide of Indians in our country, all the way to also what's the conspiracy theories of Stanley Kubrick filming the Apollo moon landing, the first one that we saw, and how he had if it was true, I'll still keep it up like nothing definite, but if it was true, how he had to go through having to go through life being able to not tell anybody about it, including his wife. And so when it's like when Shelley Duvall sees the famous typewriter, and she sees the line all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, that's kind of like Kubrick conveying that like this is what I've been working on, and it's driving me insane because I can't do I can't reveal anything. And even the people who he let it slip to, who he actually like did reveal what he was working on, there was dire repercussions. And also some of that can be seen as in his film Eyes Wide Shut as well, and how Bill's character is informed that he should not follow the investigation towards the lady that is murdered, if you have seen that one. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic film, fantastic documentary, probably one of my favorites, I gotta say, and definitely worth checking out.
Where
and
can we
that's
watch
all
that,
I got.
though?
That was actually I saw it on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and then Thoroughbreds in theaters right now. Yeah.
Nice. I saw Tomb Raider again.
Ew. Twice.
I really liked it. Yeah. Well, I went with somebody who hadn't seen it yet. If you guys haven't seen it yet, they do touch upon some kind of supernatural stuff, but give a good explanation of how you could interpret that, and I like that. Saw Red Sparrow, and I'm so glad you were like, it's a slow burn, because then I was like, it's fine. Like, it wasn't slow, because I'm like, he's like, it's a slow burn, and it is, and I liked it, but it's not crazy amazing, but the torture scenes are so good, because you don't actually see it, but like
You feel it,
everyone's
you hear it,
cringing. You're like,
yeah.
ooh, but they didn't show it, which almost at first was like, well, that's cheap to do.
It's like a play on like
No, it
whatever you
worked.
come up with your head is a lot worse than what's actually.
No, like you know what they're doing to the person, but like for example, they're like hurting someone's back, and so you see the person behind them doing something to it, but you don't actually see like the wound itself, but you know what it is. So then you're like
still cringing.
yeah,
I was totally
or it's like
cringing.
below the table or something, but it's very effective. I started Altered Carbon, which I really like. I'm a little slow to that one, or catching up on that one. There's a hotel in it that's a macabre hotel, and it makes me so happy. And have you watched Altered Carbon yet?
No.
Oh, you need to watch it. There's it's a macabre hotel, and the person who runs it is an AI, and he's Poe. He's Edgar Allan Poe, essentially.
He's
He's
probably the
adorable.
best actor in the,
I
in
love
the,
him,
That
yeah.
episode, he was the best actor there.
I was like, he's my favorite one so far.
Yeah.
He's a small character, but I was like, this character. It has a lot of interesting ideas of like what you are, who you are, and similar in the lines of like if you had a clone or not and you died and your clone goes on, is it really you? But Altered Carbon's a different concept. I'm doing this because it's a disc that you are that's in your neck. But they explore it. It's
My
really exciting.
doppelganger, Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah. It's so
it's like
it's a good show.
the whole like Chappie thing, like being able to upload your subconsciousness
Essentially,
or your
like,
consciousness to
at 1
other
year
beings.
Kinda, because at 1 year old, you essentially get an implant that's like a disc this big and all of your entity, but then that questions kind of like where and what is your soul, because it's all of your memories and more experiences. But essentially, if that whole thing is you and that went somewhere else, then yes, that is you living on. Because technically, there is that with Star Trek that when you get beamed up, it's not really you and it's a clone and you died. No, okay. I was like, oh, super nerds. But so it's cool.
Stone face.
Right?
Yes.
You're just like, wait, no.
Poker face.
But yeah, it's a cool show. I'm only like 3 episodes in, so I can't really comment
Right
on
on.
how the rest of it goes. But
And
it's
we
cool.
also have the after show here at AfterBuzz TV every Monday at 10 o'clock.
Yay!
So check that out.
And more Be the Beginning. Tune in for anime after show at 6 today. We're talking about that. It's getting really good.
Right on, Ollie.
Well, I keep it short and simple this week. I really didn't watch anything. I did watch House of Demons, a little film. I'm super excited you guys are here so we can talk about it and ask you questions. But it was my birthday this past weekend, so I did. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
I did more drinking than watching anything. So, but
Good celebrating.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
I am still watching Jessica Jones, my favorite
Yes,
TV show on Netflix for sure. If you guys aren't watching it, you better watch it. But more importantly, I want to know what you guys are watching at the moment or
Yeah,
have
what's
watched.
good? Who wants to take the lead? Patrick?
I'll start, I guess. I also saw Thoroughbreds. I
Oh.
thought the acting was fantastic. And made me, very excited to see Ready Player One and see that Amanda girl, don't know her name, sorry, back
Yeah.
in action.
I don't know your name either.
I think on TV, I've been watching the new X-Files, which I thought the last season I was kind of iffy on, but this season I think it's been great and kind of made me go back and watch a bunch of old episodes, which was
Nice.
exciting to revisit. Hard to believe they're like 25 years old now. So,
Yeah.
but it's still good. And
Where are you rewatching them?
Uh,
Netflix had them for a long time.
they're on
so-
Hulu now.
They're on Hulu now?
So
Okay.
yeah, just kind of been picking out some
Cool.
favorites of the past.
Nice.
But yeah, Duff, you can.
Yeah, I'm actually watching Jessica Jones
Yes.
and Altered Carbon.
Yay!
And I won't tell you anything if you guys haven't seen up to now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything. But there are two very different shows. But Altered Carbon is amazing. I love watching, for some reason, Joel Kinnaman. If you ever watch RoboCop and you take a
Yeah.
screenshot, it looks like my face. It's really strange. But I like his depth. I like how what he makes very interesting choices. Mm-hmm. And also the ancillary characters are amazing.
Yes.
Poe is awesome. And Jessica Jones is she's just so surprising to me. That actress,
Kristen
I wouldn't ever
Ritter, she's
expect her to
amazing.
be in that role, and she does some. It's just surprises. She surprises me every single episode with what she's capable of doing. It's really cool. So those are my two favorite shows right now.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I do remember when I saw Kristen Ritter on Don't Trust to Be in Apartment 23, which is like a completely different role for her.
Totally different. Yeah.
I love that show. I wish it lasted more than one season, but like unfortunately, like it got cut after once. But I'm glad she's our J. Jones now.
I didn't
She
expect it. I
rocks
thought it was going to be terrible. I was like, this girl's not going to be.
Oh,
but
she's
she-
out of
Oh,
my
dude.
league. She's the best friend. I love her.
Yeah.
Did you see her in Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where I first was like, oh my god.
She had a short stay on that show.
Yeah, she was so good.
Yeah.
That I haven't watched the new season of Jessica Jones yet, but I watched season 1. And then I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately.
Ooh.
Cool.
Like the Roosevelts. I just finished Ken Burns, I believe. And so there's 7-hour or 2-hour long episodes of all of the... It's Teddy, Franklin, and Eleanor. That's who they're mostly focusing on. And it was really insane to just watch that much footage and thinking that you know them in a certain way and then seeing it. I don't know, my mind's still kind of blown from that, and I'm trying to like see how everything went wrong. Anyway, yeah, so that's been a big thing.
Personally, are you like into documentaries as is, or are you like more into like history?
I mean, I like watching documentaries as an actor because I feel like you get, I don't know, you learn so much more about a time period, and you think more about putting yourself in someone's shoes and get all of like the little nuances about someone, and you're not just like, I don't know, I mean, trying to. And I mean, history has always fascinated me, but I'm also watching The Office right now. So
Ooh.
I
Hey,
go,
yeah.
like, all
Best
over
of
the
both
place.
worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm rewatching it. It's like you gotta go back, and I think you appreciate things so much more when you rewatch something after so many years. So.
And were you a fan of Parks and Recs?
Oh.
as
I
well?
haven't really watched
Oh,
it. I know
dude.
that's. I know.
I'm literally
I'm
just
actually-
thinking that.
I'm like a little jealous because I'm like, oh, I can't wait for you to experience that. Like, it's such a good,
Okay,
it's such a great
I'll-
show.
Once I finish The Office, which I'm almost done, like rewatching it all, then I'll get
Yeah.
to it.
I've never seen Parks and Rec.
Oh my god.
Oh,
But I was an
The-
extra
so
on it a
good.
bunch of times.
I do gotta say, like, to preface it, like the first 2 seasons does feel like it's trying to be like an Office mock, but then I think midway through the second season kind of finds its grounding, like its footing, and it hits the ground running after that. It's so fantastic. It's one of my favorite shows. Yeah.
Have you guys seen Orville?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
It's surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I
I
heard
just
that
forgot
it's
to
not
mention
good.
Orville. I'm not gonna say not a huge fan, but there's some actors there that I'm just like, they're pretty good, but I don't believe everything they do. But the writing is so good. So Orville, you think it's a parody on Star Trek, but it's actually so great just
It's
on
just
its own.
science fiction kind of parody in general.
It
though,
is,
too,
it
right?
is.
Yeah.
But you see all the clean uniform stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a Star Wars guy, so it looks more Star Trek, obviously.
Yeah.
But the writing, every episode, like I'm actually cracking up, and it's rare when you watch a comedy and you're actually laughing out loud. So
It takes a lot.
Did that get
get
renewed
some-
for season 2?
I don't know.
I thought it did. I don't know.
I wouldn't
I
be
hope so.
surprised if it did. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they love him on Fox. So, all right. So that's settled. Now that the dust has cleared, let's get into House of Demons. So we actually have the trailer for House of Demons. If we can get that rocking and rolling, and we will be talking slightly over it, just because it's on. Just some.
It's awkwardly behind you.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. I was about to say if you
seen
want to,
it.
like, yeah, you guys are
were
in
there?
it.
Yeah.
I lived it.
Yeah.
All right. So this movie was.
Here's us.
Yeah, Kaytlin, it was interesting seeing you today with the much lighter auburn hair. It looks really nice. And you look good with dark hair, too.
I feel like, Kaytlin, every time I see you not wearing all black, it's a little weird.
I make a point not to wear all black when I.
Right on. So yeah, just to give a quick synopsis of the film. So 4 friends reunite and spend the night in a remote home that was once used by a Manson Family-like cult. As the night progresses, the friends are forced to confront their deepest secrets and darkest demons. Boogity boogity. All right. Just to get a quick overview of the characters. So we have. It's interesting because to preface it, so it does take place. Oh, there's 2 different time periods taking place at once. So in the present time of the film's universe, it's Gwen, who's played by Kaytlin Borgen, right here, right there, and then also we have Whitney Moore as Katrina, and we have Matthew. No, my bad. Sorry. Whitney Moore as Katrina, and then we have Matthew, who's played by Jeff Torres, and Spencer, played by Morgan Peter. And then on the cult side, we have the very charismatic and charming leader, Fraser, played by Dove Meir. And then we also have Maya, played by Amber Benson, who's the I'm guessing she's your wife, right? Or she?
No, she's just a good friend.
She's just a good. Okay,
Partner?
but she's the one
They're
who gives.
hippies. I don't know
Yeah,
if they would
right? I was
subscribe
like,
to
we have a
official
past.
titles.
It's complicated.
it's usually in
Good
cults it can be
answer.
complicated.
Yeah.
We
It's
also
like a
have
Pride Alliance. They're all his mates.
the Pride of. Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah, all of them.
Yes.
And then we have the character of Samantha, played by Tiffany Smith, and she's the one who gets. Well, I guess let's not. I was like, oh, we can't spoil it.
Let's just say she's my enforcer.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. She's like your right hand man, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from the other right hand man, Derek, which is played by Brian Towns. And on the more miscellaneous side of characters, we have Dave, played by Tillison Jaffe or
Jaffe, yeah.
Jaffe, right? Okay, cool.
Critical Role, very popular show now.
Oh yeah, on
D&D.
Geek and
Yeah.
Sundry,
Yeah, so he's
right
on
on.
there.
Yeah, and then I don't know if this is. I guess it's not really a spoiler. We have the demon himself, played by Paradox Pollock. Right on. So that's just a quick overview of the characters, and so I actually want to start this off with just like some quick technical questions, as in like where was this film shot?
It was in Santa Clarita, basically in the Angeles National Forest. So we had a sort of cabin-y looking house, as you see in the film, out in the middle of the woods. It was very remote. There was no phone service,
Oof.
no running water.
Ooh.
And, the bathroom had some issues, so we had to,
Day one.
Yeah, day one.
It already
Oh,
sounds
no.
like a horror movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what people said. But it was a great location because we could kind of run around and yell and, fake murder people and things in the woods, and nobody bothered us ever. So it was a fun. I think it was a fun experience for me, at least. What did you guys think?
For the Kaytlin?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it was far enough away from the city that, you're not in LA, but it wasn't. We made the commute back, and it wasn't too far. And I don't know, it kind of being stuck on a location like that when it's so hot and there's so many things going against you, still coming together to make the film and actually like bond. It was a much more intimate experience than it would have been if we were just like on the set or a super comfortable air conditioned running water.
Absolutely. Fighting across
Working
against
bathroom.
all the obstacles we had actually built such a level of camaraderie. It was great.
What time of year did you film? You said it was hot.
It was
August.
August, yeah.
Yeah, right?
So
Yeah.
Oh, SoCal August.
At one
Triple
point-
digits?
Yeah,
Oh,
triple
yeah.
digits.
At one point, there were
Oh.
actually fire engines we heard in the distance because the fires were happening.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we
that's
almost had to
right.
evacuate at one point.
yeah,
Wow.
luckily we didn't.
And how long was the shoot?
It was 13 days,
Wow.
so it was very quick.
About less than 2 weeks.
So yeah, we were doing on average like 7 pages of script a day. So it was a real, not a lot of room for error. So to
Patrick
keep
felt
moving.
that by not having any sleep and working constantly, we'd be able to just jump right into the movie and
Yeah.
things would be just trippy from the beginning.
Yeah, I was about to say, because like
Works for the characters.
yeah,
Absolutely.
the characters are like because I guess from what I got from it was the demon was having some sort of like powers over the minds of the people who were inside the house that was eventually slowly not really corrupting them, but very like playing with their minds, as in like playing off of their internal pain, I guess. So yeah, that works out that you guys are in a sense suffering, so it adds to things.
I mean, I wasn't intending to be a method actor, but it just lent itself to that a few times.
No, I mean it totally works, and I appreciate everything. It's appreciate you guys had to go through that because I think it turned out great. I also want to talk about the budget. Like, how big was this budget?
It was around like 100,000. So it was very low budget. So that's why we had to shoot so fast, because there wasn't, every day is money,
Yeah.
every day is
Right.
food and crew and stuff. So it was just about kind of honing in on. I mean, that's part of the reason that the film kind of mostly takes place in this one house. But then there's so many different kind of flashbacks and other elements that we wound up. It wasn't exactly as like confined as a lot of movies like that might be. But I think it was just really making the most of it and kind of trying to come up with, different ways to make everything feel exciting and, don't feel constrained or like there was that movie with like Ryan Reynolds was in a coffin or whatever. And you're like, oh, they managed to keep me like entertained, even though he was in a coffin for 90 minutes. Like I wanted to feel big, even though we were working with limited resources.
Yeah, and I think that is conveyed like through the through like how you said the flashbacks and everything, and also like not only like expanding the setting of where it takes place, but also expanding on the characters' like psychologies at the same time, where it's like, yeah, you're introduced to them at a face level, but by the way, here's what they're actually like going through. Like here's like their internal struggles. Here's like what they carry around with them every single day. And I thought that was very interesting, as like it's their minds are in a sense a gateway to the wider world that the film is trying to establish. And I thought it was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah, so I gotta say, this is such a like ambitious film, because there is some time travel in here, and I just want to say, like, how does this concept come to you? Because you wrote it as well, right?
Yeah. Well, I think part of it was I knew I wanted to write something that I knew I could produce and would be able to do, with kind of limited resources, but still feel very big. So part of it was thinking about like, oh, what could we do with, a confined location, and the idea of having sort of these friends who had drifted apart. I think that's something that's always anybody can relate to, because I think we all have people, we knew in high school or college or whatever that we were super tight with, and now, you never see them. So it's interesting to have people who have a lot of history kind of come together. In terms of kind of Dove's character is sort of, as you said in the description, sort of a Charles Manson-y type of 60s cult leader. So when I first moved to LA, I was kind of curious about like the local history, so I read a bunch of books about like the weirder side of LA, and one was about Charles Manson, which is a fascinating book by this guy named Jeff Gwynne, because if you live here, he'll be like, he drove up Sunset to the 405, or like, and you're like, oh wow, that's very close. So it makes it feel more real. And I think it was also this idea that he was somebody who had sort of like an almost like supernatural hold over the people in his group, and that he never murdered people. He had people would go and murder people for him. Like that's it's one thing to be like, I am able to, stab someone. It's another thing to be able to be like, I am so persuasive and so powerful that I can just say, do this, and somebody will do it. And I think that was very interesting and more kind of scary. And, I wanted to kind of delve into this character and explore the ways that he was able to create this attachment from people. So that's a lot of what kind of Dove and Kaytlin go through in the film, is kind of exploring the way that he's able to be very charming and very, to the point where you're like, oh, this guy seems great. If it wasn't a horror movie and it was a romantic comedy, you'd be like, oh man, she finally found like the man of her dreams. But
he just happens to be a cult leader.
Yeah, that's
from the past.
It's going so well.
So yeah, I think that was one of the big interesting things. I think just the idea of people kind of, facing their demons, it was very interesting to me, and of kind of people diving into their brain and using different ways of filmmaking to bring the internal to life on screen. Is always, some of my favorite movies do that. And I think it was just a cool opportunity to dive into these people and sort of force them to confront the stuff that's going on in their life in a trippy, crazy way.
Yeah, right on. And yeah, you did touch on something that I wanted to ask, Dove. So you played the cult leader, and it's a very specific, great point of how he says, Maya comes up to him after there's some sort of pill swallowing. She comes up and is like, oh, you murderer, you killed them. And then he replies, I didn't kill them. They gave themselves to the light, or they gave themselves to me. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, this guy. So with that in mind, with that context, it's like, how you as an actor, like, how do you rationalize this character's motives as like when you're like building this character? Like, did you judge him, or did you have to like, no, let's not judge him. Let's see where he's coming from. Let's try to rationalize this. And like, what was your conclusion to that?
Well, listen, a lot of themes you see in this movie are ubiquitous. There are human stories. All these people have their own good sides and bad sides, and they have to deal with those bad sides. There are demons in the movie. His good side, everyone else saw as a bad side. It's all about perspective. As far as I was concerned, I was being completely altruistic. I'm doing everything I can to help those around me better their own lives. And this is what I felt was the path. So there never had to be any judging about how do I convince myself that a bad guy's actually a good guy. Bad guys never think they're the bad guys. And that's what's scarier.
Yeah.
And when you can relate to the demon, to the bad guy, that's when it starts to get scary. And those are the kind of antagonists I love. So I just worked on building his altruism, as contradictory as that sounds. He wanted to do good. He wanted to help everyone around him, and of course himself, and help his brother. So it was actually finding that piece inside me that wants to help people around and wants to help people I care about and undo things that happened in my past was very easy to do.
Well, Gwen certainly liked it.
I was going to say, being nitpicky, though, you did say he wants to help himself and then help his
Yeah, I was
brother.
about to say.
And I'm like, you said it first and then the second, which I'm like, yeah, I think he wants to help himself. And he does want to help his brother.
Sure. Well, it began with helping my brother. That was the mission from the beginning.
And
I think that's a justification as it goes on, though. Because he's like, gets to enjoy it after.
Well,
But that's our experience as the viewer.
I think that's what anybody who kind of has that power is. You often, start with a good intent,
Yeah.
and then it becomes corrupted. But I mean, in the film, he's doing the things he's doing do work. So who knows if he had just kept going? And also, I think it's interesting with Kaytlin. I tried to make it so that he never really lies or does things, misleads people.
Yeah.
He always tries to tell the truth, and he doesn't see it, as bad. Other people might see it as bad, but he is never telling people things that, aren't true.
Yeah.
It's just they're bad sometimes. So.
Yeah, the cult member, she's like, he's right. He was telling the truth. And
Yeah.
It's all about perspective.
And then what I got from your character, Dove, was I think it touched on, or I guess my take on the character was that he couldn't accept the death of his brother, and that's what he was chasing throughout. That's mainly the whole reason why this is all happening, is to try and save his brother. And I think that's what possibly the greater message of your character is, that when it comes to not being able to accept someone's past of a dear loved one, you're driven to the brink of doing drastic things to yourself and self-harm.
Not only that, but feeling responsible for his death.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So if I didn't tell anybody, if I told someone sooner, or if I stopped him from going into the lake, maybe it wouldn't have happened. So there's a lot of guilt.
So I was about to say guilt,
which
and,
again is ubiquitous. We all feel
yeah.
that.
And another character that also touched on guilt was also Spencer, with the feeling guilty for Dave's condition and the car accident as well.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think we kind of tried to have almost an original sin moment, as in they flash back to a moment where their life went awry, or this is the moment that they perhaps use as a justification for their own problems. And I think a lot of people will do this in their life, and they'll say oh, what, and not say whatever, but I, didn't get into the good college, and now I don't have a good job, and fuck it, I don't, or bleep it, I don't,
It's okay. Yeah.
My life, I can't turn it around because of something that happened to me. So it's kind of forcing everybody in the movie has to kind of confront this thing, which are bad and are, justifiably things that they feel very bad about, but say can you kind of get past it, or is it going to define the rest of your life?
And the similarity, you brought up Spencer. One of my favorite things about the film is the similarity between Fraser and Spencer. Spencer could very well be Fraser in another time. If he was at my time period, and we were both in the medical field, if he would have tried drugs, and he would have came to the same conclusions.
And also, I believe there's a line that said that they say that Spencer looks a lot like Bobby, which was your brother, right? So that kind of comes full circle.
That was the wizard.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Kaytlin, you also had a very heavy arc in this film as well, and I'm curious to know what does this role mean to you, because you had dealt with abuse from your mother and the neglect. So how is it portraying that, and what does it mean to you?
I think that I think she felt a lot of guilt as well. I mean, not being 30 years old, still basically living the same lifestyle that she had been all of her 20s, and just not able to see a way out and to grasp onto relationships. I mean, she was just holding on to the past, and I think that I think when I auditioned for this in that point in my life, I realized like, oh my God, this is kind of me. In a way, you know, not just wholly. No, but like you see again, like you relate to it. I related to her and felt like this. Oh wow, I have a tough exterior, but I'm such a flower. You know, I'm a really sensitive person. I take things very personally, you know, like all of that, and to see Gwen be so hardened by it, but on the inside, she's just got this really big heart and just wants to be accepted, but she doesn't even know how to accept herself. So I think that's kind of, you know, that was easy to connect with and to kind of look at, okay, what have I been holding on to in my past life that I, like, the choices that I made that are still affecting me in some kind of way, and it's past, like, who am I now? Who am I today? And how can I take control of that? So, I mean, totally, like, my life is a lot different than Gwen's, but I think that on a very deep level, I related to just her insecurities and how to kind of move past that despite of what's happened, you know.
And also, she just kind of wanted to tell a story. I mean, she's a writer.
Right.
Yeah. And Patrick, was that important for you to have a character that is a writer because you wrote the film?
I mean, I think it was something where it was relatable for me. You know, the notion of wanting to like put something of yourself or something that's in your brain out there, and I think it's also something that a lot of people do have an ambition to kind of create something, be it a story or, you know, a band or a bench or whatever. Like, and it can be hard to do it. I think there's like a big insurmountability, and it's kind of like you can feel like something is just too much to tackle. So I wanted to kind of create a character who's like people that I know or have encountered, who's like, oh, I'd love to do this one day, or like, I'm trying, but, you know, struggles with it. And I think that everybody has some things that are easier for them and things that are harder for them. And then this was something that was a big challenge for her, and she was really trying to do, but had a lot to get through before she could reach that point.
But like a overwhelming need to be understood and to tell her story, but like not knowing how. It's almost like you're in a prison, so you kind of shut down.
Was it that she didn't know how, or was it that she was just not confident enough within herself to actually fulfill what she wanted to do in life?
I think that she didn't see the confidence in that way. She didn't know how, but ultimately, I mean, yeah, once she gained confidence, was able to kind of find the
You're welcome.
The scene where she's with the guy who's getting married, I felt like she had a chance and he shot her down, so it wasn't even like she didn't try. Because they come outside and then she's kind of like, this was great and had a good time, and then he's like, oh, you know what, I'm going to go to my car. And I was like, oh, she tried, though.
She did try. And I mean, that's the thing. I think that she did put herself out there, and was always then she tried to put herself out there to her dad, and door was closed. So I think just, you know, and that breaks your confidence.
Yeah. So absolutely.
I mean, then it's like, okay, well, what do I? But rejection, you know, it has to make you grow stronger. Like, you've got to find. You can't be looking to other people for approval. You can't be saying, oh, well, if you tell me it's okay, then I'll feel okay. You've got to find that in yourself. And I think that's like her overall lesson for everybody. Like, I have to find, you know, my confidence in me, not get approval from someone.
So we don't care what you guys think about the movie.
No, but I really do.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I think one of the things that I was trying to do was kind of create the sense where you could see everything from everyone's perspective. So in the early scenes, Gwen, she's, you know, used to hang out with her friends. They get drunk, they whatever. She goes back, she's like, let's have some wine, let's celebrate. And to her friend Katrina, this is almost like dredging up a piece of herself that she wants to leave in the past. So it's almost as if Gwen is like rubbing her nose in the fact of all this bad stuff that happened to them in the past. But to Gwen, it's saying, I'm reaching out and I'm trying to connect with you. So it was interesting to try to always see every scene from everyone's perspective and make it where you can sympathize. You know, it's almost like a video game, I guess. Like, you could play anyone in this movie and you could say, oh, I see why this person did that, and in that perspective, Gwen might seem a little, you know, rude. But if you look from Gwen's side, you're like, oh, these other people are just being rude and pushing her away. So it was, you know, that's one of the cool things I think about an ensemble movie, is that you get to see a bunch of different perspectives.
Yeah, I gotta say, and yeah, like there's, I like kind of like laid it out for me, because like how in a sense, like everyone that walked through that door, they all had their own demons, was it? And it was again Spencer with Dave's condition, and it was Katrina who lied to Matthew about the miscarriage, where she actually in reality she wait my bad. I just saw myself, but anyways, and then there's also a Gwen who I felt was like the most multifaceted one, who because she had like the most feeling of inadequacy, and like she always would compare herself to her mother because everyone loved her mother more than actually like loved her or something, or like it was easier for the mom to get men, whereas she had trouble with. And I gotta say, overall, it's like I think it's just like a study of the human condition, and how either if you can embrace your own faults, then you can thrive afterwards, but if you don't, then you fall victim to the demon, to your own demon, and it's I don't think, like you said, it's gonna it's gonna like judge your life for the rest of it, pretty much. You're gonna be on that path until you're able to do that. And yeah, I think it was a great film. It has a lot of themes that it touches on. And I would just like, as we're winding down here, I would just like to ask you one by one, so what did this film mean overall for you, and what do you hope audiences take from it?
I mean, I think for me, it was the first chance to make a narrative film and to kind of get, like, I love working with actors, and I think it was honestly like the most fun part of this was working with all the actors and working with them to kind of create these characters. And I think it was a real collaboration. Like, it's fun. I mean, I love like sitting in my house and just sitting on the computer and editing stuff, but it's very fun to get out there and be, talking with the cinematographer, talking with the production designer, and having everybody else kind of bring something of themselves to the movie, and working with the actors. And there was a lot of scenes, I think, where we would kind of work the lines together and work the beats and bring it to life off the page in a different way. And I think that was just, I mean, it was so much fun just to be able to create a project that was meaningful to me, and to be able to put it out there. And I mean, I think for the audiences, I hope that they kind of go in with an open mind and try to find the blend of something emotionally relatable and some fun horror stuff, and are able to kind of get both out of it, and enjoy someone being murdered, think about their own life, like, so it should be fun and substantive. That's kind of the goal for me with the movie.
I feel like you accomplished it, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Dev?
Well, I'd like to believe that the universe, there's a method to the madness. There's a reason for everything. And as an actor, roles come into my life, hopefully for a reason. So hopefully every role that I get, there is a mission, there's a story that can change my life or see my own personal life in a certain way. And there's a story, I forget who it was, but there was a famous actress who did a movie about her kids were killed. And people asked her, like, did you imagine your own kids getting killed? She said, no, of course not. I imagined my kids in this role, but what it did was, when I was done, I went home and hugged my kids tighter. So it wasn't about affecting, it wasn't about your life, but it's how does it affect your life afterwards? How do you see the world a different way? So this movie it's a wonderful movie where there's so many stories that everyone can relate to. So I took from it, I was able to see in my own life, what can I appreciate, or what are the demons in my life that I can work towards and find the courage to fight. And I'm hoping that everyone who watches this, they'll look back afterwards and think about their own demons and see how they can affect it. How can they, how can they meet Paradox?
How hopefully they can defeat their own demons.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And last but not least.
Wow. I think that the film, playing Gwen, and kind of like I said, because she goes on such a big arc, and where she starts and where she finishes, and changes. I don't know. Every character I play, it changes me in some kind of way. Just as Dove's saying, my perspective shifted, and a little bit more. I think I looked at myself a little bit differently, and maybe how I need to take care of myself better, or be a little softer on myself. Like, I don't have to beat myself up so much. I think that really shined a light on that, and so that for me is huge. If I can take one positive thing to treat myself better after I play a character, like, I think that's big. And I don't mean that like in a super dark way. I just,
Right.
you know, it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to beat myself up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay. Like, we're all okay. Like, everything's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a fun experience. We all, you know, being in the kind of sharing an experience, being on set, being on a film like this. It's like it only happens once. It can only happen one way. It's such a unique experience, and people that you meet, you'll remember them forever. Like getting to work with them and that one experience that we all shared together. It's cool. It's really special. So I'm really glad I was a part of it.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, that was cool.
We wish we were a part of it.
Yeah.
Well, we are. We watched
Now
it,
you are.
and now we've experienced it. Yeah.
Welcome.
No, that was great. Yeah, and also to touch on the like the whole like it's gonna be okay. Like when I like to remind myself like there's no right way to live. You know, it's just like you just do your thing. Like you know, there's no like no you have to live like no. Just breathe and keep moving. And defeat your demons for sure.
Just punch them in the face.
Or don't be afraid to, you know,
Yeah.
take them head on. Yeah.
Or yeah, exactly. Just plunge face first. And also, we have the little giveaway we were teasing at the top is these awesome posters right here, House of Demon, that are
there you
actually
go.
signed by the director himself, I'm guessing, and the cast and crew. Thank you, Steve.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's why we
also-
love him. He just have
These aren't for this one's to give away, but these aren't. But they're still really cool, and I would love to show
Yeah.
these as well.
Sure.
Oh, this. Oh, okay. These. Oh my lord. Look
I
at
love that
this
one.
beautiful.
And this is I believe an original painting, right?
Yeah, it's by
Steve
artist
Clef.
Steve Clef, who's at Clef CLEFF on Twitter.
Nice.
Right
And he
on.
did an amazing job.
So hit him up. Tell him you love his work, cause I surely do. It's really awesome. Yeah, so that's that pretty much wraps up our show. Thank you all
Thank you
so much
guys.
for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank
Really
you so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like super psyched to talk about this because like I saw this movie late at night and I was just like I was like dissecting it all in my little notebook here, and I was just very excited to get into the thick of it, you know.
Nice.
So I really appreciate you guys coming in, and go ahead and put yourself over with your social media and your name and everything.
Sure. Well, the movie's available on
There you go.
iTunes, Amazon, Google, Video on Demand. The DVD is available at a lot of Walmarts. So,
Nice. Yeah.
check it out. It's pretty much anywhere you can pay $3 and watch the movie. You can do it. So that's very cheap. $3 is you know. If you saw $3 sitting on the ground and it was in a dirty area, you wouldn't pick it up. So I think you can afford it. But anyway, so yeah, check it out. HouseOfDemonsMovie.com is you can find a whole list there. And then I'm at Patrick Meaney, which is just Meaney, my name spelled out, on Twitter, and you can get all the updates. Or House of Demons X on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody took
Yeah.
House of Demons, so
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
We tweeted that out too for our show as well.
But yeah, check it out, and you'll find all kinds of cool stuff on there.
Right on, okay.
Yeah, check out the movie. It's great. I'm Dove Meir at Dove Meir, DOVEMEIR. And if you're ever feeling lonely at night, just throw House of Demons in the DVD player, and I'll keep you company.
There you go.
He'll lure you in.
Yeah. All right.
And yeah, I'm at Kaytlin Borgen. That's my Instagram, and at Miss MISS. Kaytlin is Twitter. So thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
so much
you.
for
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
All right, Oliver.
Hey guys, I'm Oliver Jen. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ollie Dreamer, and check out my cosplay page on Instagram at Ollie Cosplays.
I will.
And my name's Carrie Lane. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And tune in at 6 p.m. I'll be talking with this one and another host. And we are going to have a special guest for AfterBuzz Anime Reviews. We're talking about Be the Beginning, episodes 5 through 8.
Right on. And just to reiterate, just comment on our show on YouTube and or leave a
Give a thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up, and also leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and we'll pick the winner based off of the whoever does that. I'll pick a raffle at the end of the month, which is probably next week, I think. And yeah, you'll get this awesome poster I showed you earlier. And again, my name is Anthony Becerra. You can find me everywhere at Tony B, just a little B, the letter B, Tony B Tony _ Tony B Tony _ Thank you all so much. This
Thank
was
you.
Horror Movie News. Thank you all for
Cool.
joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, and yeah, we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.